Breaking news. It looks like things ain't going too hot in the cabinet for Bibi and Biden, okay? It looks like their relationship is getting a bit too tumultuous and is getting too toxic right now. And Biden ain't happy with the way that Bibi been running the show. He ain't the first and he ain't gonna be the last. Let's get into it. So Biden demands Israel reports on international law violation within 45 days or lose the U.S. aid, okay? Now, it turns out that the U.S. is growing weary of Bibi's continuous violations of international law, because if y'all don't remember, there was just recently an ICJ hearing where Israel was tried by South Africa and accused of breaking international laws. That in which the ICJ determined that they did in fact break some international laws, and there are some other things that does qualify under genocide. However, that doesn't mean that anyone is going to enforce these changes, right? So the UN sat back and, they thought about it, did absolutely nothing. Biden himself is being put on a chopping block next. Now, his day has not come, okay? The United States is also being accused, the United States and the UK are being accused of being complicit with genocide. And not only that, also, there are crimes against Yemen, because even today, they're still dropping bombs on Yemen. Yesterday, they heard that Yemen, since October 7th, have been, since they heard about what's going on every Friday, that the Yemenis have decided to come outside, millions of them, and they do their prayer outside and they march for the Palestinians, okay? So let me show y'all. Now, obviously, we'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, but this is the reason why Biden and the UK are now being put on a chopping block now. Their case has not come up yet, okay? So clearly there are things going on in his case that he needs to, he's trying to get Israel to walk a fine line, so to speak, because there's no way that they're going to get out of this mess if Bibi keeps going and suppressing fire. At some point, somebody's going to stop what he's doing, and he's not trying to understand that, and Biden is getting real tired of having to repeat himself. Bibi was told to keep the casualties down to a minimum, steer clear of the journalists and the aid workers. That means UNRWA, Red Crescent, Red Cross, anybody attempting to gather aid, you cannot block them from getting aid there. You also must allow the UNSC, the UN Security Council, and the UN aid to come through, okay? Either the Egyptian border or come through the other side, but either way, you cannot block them, and you must provide provisionary security measures to allow said aid to get in, right? Now, they also let him know you cannot evacuate people to a certain area and then proceed to go in to bomb that area. You cannot do that. We just told you to keep them casualties down to a minimum, okay? You should only be going after your target only, okay? Now, mind you, Bibi has already ignored what the UN has told him to do in the past, so it's not looking too good for him at all. And then on top of that, you were just recently told the same thing, that in which you swore you would comply, but then went back and did the opposite bullshit, right? So basically, Netanyahu, if y'all know, he evacuated everybody from Khan Yunis all the way to Rafah. Evacuated people from the north all the way to the south, okay? So, and Ramallah in the West Bank, all that, he evacuated them all the way to Rafah. Now, Netanyahu, just days after evacuating all these people to this designated safety area, he's instructed the Israeli army to draft plans for evacuating the Hazan population from Rafah and eliminating battalions in the area, right? But that's not the issue, okay? The issue is he asked them to come up with a plan, but instead they decided to go in and start killing more people in the midst of this. So he has evacuated absolutely none of those Palestinians, but instead went to go kill them, and the numbers is still reaching high. So now everybody's getting sick and tired of his bullshit, and they really just want to disassociate themselves from him. So all this is going on while Antony Blinken is literally going from territory to territory to territory. I mean, he going to Egypt, Qatar, he going to the Palestinian Authority, he going to Tel Aviv, he's literally going to Jordan, Syria, all these places all around the Middle East, putting his life at risk, because if y'all remember, there was supposed to be a peace treaty, just about the third, fourth peace treaty, okay? Now, previously in the past, Bibi has been accused of being non-complicit. He done got away with all his bullshit. He's calling it war. They're standing up for him. They're getting him everything he wants and he needs, and he's still being non-complicit, just acting like a child, a big-ass child, and he's not willing to listen to anybody. And on top of that, he's extending the war to become a regional war, and now America gotta go back and back him up. So even they're getting tired of this man. Like, they're like, look, bro, like, at some point you gotta cut this shit the fuck out. It's either this or that, because you got 8 different struggles going on at one time and you don't have enough manpower, money, or resources to be able to see this through to the end. It's time you read the writings written all over the walls, okay? At this point, you need to get this shit together, and I mean quick, and I am not playing. So basically, Antony Blinken showed up just to let him know that after the peace treaty, the most recent peace treaty fell through, and the numbers continue to skyrocket in the amount of martyrs that have been coming directly out of Palestine, in particular Rafah, where he just evacuated a bunch of innocent civilians too. And it already had been determined by the ICJ that you gotta keep them numbers low, boo. If you want to find your way up out of this situation, keep them numbers low and keep your eyes on the prize. But instead, Bibi has been doing exactly what the whole world has known what he's been doing, which is ethnically cleansing the land and killing as many people as he can just because he wants to, right? Stick with me. So now it's at the point where Joe Biden and UK have not been brought up on their charges. Their case is still pending. South Africa is still taking them to court. Nicaragua and several other countries is taking them to court as well. And Joe been telling Bibi keep it low this whole time, but they don't want to listen. He's been trying to get a peace treaty signed, just something that'll basically like lower the tension and the amount of kickback they will receive at their court hearing. But Bibi ain't been listening, and now Joe is at the point where he like, look, I've had enough, okay? It's either this or that, and if you try to take it there, you will find out on your own just how real this motherfucker can get, okay? So basically, now it's got so bad because even after the ICJ hearing, he's been doing too much. The ICJ Court of Justice will conduct a public hearing regarding the request for an advisory opinion on the legal consequences arising from Israel's policies and practices in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem. So, UNRWA has been destroyed completely in East Jerusalem. And on top of it, there's been protesters trying to attack the people that worked at UNRWA. The Israeli citizens and settlers are blocking the aid from coming through, which is another thing that the ICJ said that they could not do. So basically, boom, 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 you're not following no instructions whatsoever. And they have sufficient evidence. Now they're opening up the opportunity for other countries to vote on whether or not they should overturn their decision, which they should. And on top of it, the premises on which they're trying to do it, because they're too much of a pussy to admit the fact that they made the wrong decision, the premises on which they're going to do that is the consequences arising from Israel's policies and practices in the occupied Palestinian territory, which is basically short of saying, we don't want this shit to spread to our country, and we need to stop this shit before it goes any further, because it's affecting our pockets the long way. We thought this shit would be done and over with by now, but it looks like we made the wrong decision, because that man assured us that this shit would be done and over with. We would have got that natural gas in our hands by now, and all would have been restored. But it's looking like he's genuinely trying to turn it into a year-long war, and they said ain't gonna happen, motherfucker. Joe, you better get your boy. And basically Joe said, I'm not motherfucking playing with you. You better figure this shit out, and I mean quick. And I am not playing, because if my ass go up on that chopping block, trust and believe you will be sitting right underneath it when I got to go and face the motherfuckers, fix this shit. So now, I don't know, BB, you may want to listen to Joe this time, because he don't look like he playing no games. And as an American citizen, I can tell you this straight up. One thing about America, they'll allow you to think that you playing them until they get sick and tired of playing your game. And then they will show you that quite literally your game was nothing but a puzzle piece to their game this entire time. They will double cross your ass in the worst possible way when you least expect it.
The Biden administration is now planning to finally leave Iraq and Syria. This is according to State Department officials who are tired of their soldiers being punched in the mouth because they are illegally occupying another country. In fact, Iraq has voted to kick out the United States out of their country 2 times in the last 4 years. And the reaction of the United States was essentially make us. So Hezbollah did, and Hezbollah has promised to continue their attacks on United States troops as long as they continue to illegally occupy Iraq and Syria, which only serves to make Hezbollah even more popular and powerful, considering the United States is hated in Syria for stealing 80% of their oil production and hated in Iraq for killing millions of their people. Now these militant groups can declare victory and tell the people that they liberated them from the bloodthirsty Americans. And the Biden administration yet again takes another L, getting their ass kicked in Iraq and Syria. They can't stop the Houthis in the Red Sea. They lost the Ukraine war and all the trust of their NATO allies. And then you had the rise of BRICS in China. This is why the United States war machine is panicking and they are resorting to bombing their way out of this problem. You guys realize that only after 3 weeks in 2024, Joe Biden has bombed Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and he's supplying 2,000-pound bombs to drop on children in Gaza. The Biden administration is a terrorist organization. It's time for us to use words the way they are meant to be used.
Whoa, 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 whoa. 2 different levels I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played. You speaking so loud with nothing to say. Hey, I'm betting it down on me. They said they ride for me, and they talk so bad on me. I know there's no friends in this business. That's why I keep my family close. Let's go. Put in work and secure the bag, and then take it back to my foes.
It's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my veins, but you know I'm about to warm up. Yo, it's been a cold, cold summer. Ice in my
A big warning on Capitol Hill yesterday from FBI Director Christopher Wray about possible hacking attacks by the Chinese government. He said China could target our infrastructure, causing potentially catastrophic damage. Nicole Skanga has more now from Washington.
China has shown it will make us pay.
FBI Director Christopher Wray delivered this warning on Capitol Hill.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens.
Cautioning Chinese hackers are aiming to infiltrate the nation's pipelines, water treatment plants, transportation system, and even the U.S. power grid.
Imagine not one pipeline, but many pipelines disrupted. Telecommunications going down so people can't use their cell phone. People start getting sick from polluted water. Trains get derailed. This is truly an everything, everywhere, all at once scenario. And it's one where the Chinese government believes that it will likely crush American will for the U.S. to defend Taiwan in the event of a major conflict there.
This week, the FBI announced a takedown of Volt Typhoon, a Chinese-backed hacking operation enabling malicious actors to spy on U.S. critical infrastructure. Accessed through privately owned office and home internet routers, federal law enforcement disabled the hackers, obtaining court orders to delete the malware off hundreds of infected devices.
They target our freedoms, reaching inside our borders across America to silence, coerce, and threaten some of our citizens and residents.
The President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs. He also refuses to meet with the police chiefs of the United States. They have a hierarchy also. He refuses to meet with them to talk about border issues or to talk about crime that's going on because of the border issue. We were also told by Mr. Wray, the FBI director, that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. Okay? When I say red flags, meaning people that are here in this country that are wanting to do harm to us. We were also explained we're bombing 2 countries right now. 2 countries. These people do not like us before this started. There's thousands of people here from other countries, 160 different countries. They're here not to be our friends. Some of them are coming because they're wanting to come here to the best country in the world, the way we see it. Some are coming here to do harm to us.